good scare. The bigger the scare, the better. For centuries, the human imagination has created icons that make even the bravest souls shake with terror.
We have this fascination with the dark side, with death, with ghosts, with monsters.
Whatever that dark feeling is that you have that you put a face to, whether it's Dracula or monster or whatever, it's really powerful.
After doing The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, I decided I wanted to do a small movie. You know, two people chatting on a beach. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was a werewolf? And then I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was vampires? And I thought, well, we can't leave Frankenstein out of it. And the more I started thinking about it, I thought, oh, I bet all three of these could fit into a world together.
It's great. The whole family of monsters are here.
When I'm a writer, I'm really just a writer. I'm having fun writing, and I have it all figured out. I'm sitting at my desk, but I never really think that I'm going to direct it. Ready, and action! Because then I wouldn't make it so hard. All right. Who wrote this thing? And then every day I want to kill the writer.
Steve always likes to say there are no monsters in this picture. There's just people with some really bad problems.
I started thinking about these characters, and I watched all the old movies and kind of fell in love with them again. I thought, oh, they were so well done, and they were such great characters.
I bid you welcome.
And they're such great stories, and I thought, how do you do them differently, and how do you keep them scary or real or dramatic?
There's so many great little things in there, from the design to the makeup to everything for those fans of the monsters.
It's alive!
Somewhere in the shadows of a distant Eastern European land, evil stalks the earth. Creatures spawn from the dark recesses of the soul, live, breathe, and hunt innocent human prey. Enter a man named Van Helsing. His specialty is hunting down and killing vampires. Bram Stoker brought Van Helsing to life in the 19th century in his classic horror story, Dracula.
Van Helsing.
I liked the character. I thought, oh, now here's something new. Here's something, a guy who's never really been done. He's been in 157 movies, but he's always been a minor role and played by older actors. And how can I make him younger and cooler and more fun, and just ran with it.
Van Helsing takes care of the demons that are beyond being exorcised.
You, these monsters, evil beings to be vanquished. I am the one who's left standing there when they die and become the men they once were.
If you kill a werewolf, he turns back into a human, and you're left standing there over a gentle old man. People think you killed this gentle old man. Only Van Helsing knew that moments before, he was this vicious werewolf that was on the rampage. So that's how he gets himself in trouble.
Some say you're a holy man. Others say you're a murderer. Which is it?
It's a bit of both.
Van Helsing is one of those classic movie archetypes. He's not always a nice guy. Ultimately, he's pretty much a good guy, but he doesn't always go about it by the book.
Well, did you bring him back, or did you kill him? Oh, you killed him, didn't you?
Like Dirty Harry or Mad Max, Indiana Jones, there's a roguish quality to him.
He's got to be a man's man and a lady's man. Women have to love him, but men have to trust him. And that's, you know, it's hard to pull off.
And Hugh's very much a man. And I think Van Helsing needs to be a man. He's strong and he's fit and he has good humor and he doesn't give off a sense of kind of arrogance or vanity, and yet he's extremely cute as well.
Though Van Helsing has powers that are beyond human, the daunting question is, are they enough for him to succeed? Talk about pressure.
He's running into Dracula or the Brides of Dracula or Frankenstein. It's how he handles the situation that makes him very unique.
When it comes to battling monsters, it's what he's meant to do, and he's got a great gift for it.
This is where I come in.
He has a lot of fun weapons.
Most amazing is this brand new crossbow, which is gas-propelled, so it has a cartridge on it filled with hundreds of little bows and shoots them out.
I would say it's like a machine gun of crossbows.
If they're flying at 60 miles an hour and doing loop-de-loops and circles all around you, and I thought, well, what if it was a Gatling gun crossbow? And that's how I kind of think. There's only certain ways you can kill a werewolf and certain ways you can kill a vampire, and we've seen how it's done. I thought, but now I have to take it to the next level.
Silver stakes that shoot up, you know, sort of like a flick knife version of a silver stake.
His main weapons would be his shotgun and his revolvers. And depending on who he might be hunting, he could use his silver nitrate bullets, or if it's not a monster, it could be his brass bullets. He has a grappling hook gun.
A fat gun.
When you need to get out of a situation.
So I can sort of shoot across and then swing across moats or whatever.
His nastiest or most interesting weapon would be his Tojo blade. He then can fire this off and it pretty much cuts anything. It's not like a boomerang, it doesn't come back to you, but there is endless amounts of them in his jacket.
I am a little bit like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, you know, but instead of it sort of coming in a virtual world, I just carry it with me. But Carl ends up being my Sherpa, which is perfect.
He's a funny little character who has spent, I think, most of his life in a strange place underneath the Vatican in Rome. Never really been outside it. He's an inventor.
And he knows everything, but he's incredibly bookish and he's like a mad scientist. And he gives him all these weapons.
Pretty inventive character, Carl. He comes up with an explosive called Glycerin 48.
Oh, sorry.
He's a man who invents the most extraordinary inventions for people, but never has actually had the ability to go out on expeditions and actually use them. And during this film, I'm sure I can hear Dracula in the background. And during this film, he's actually has the opportunity to go on the expedition or the adventure. He's forced to.
The family of Boris Valerius, king of the Gypsies, has failed in its quest to destroy Dracula. And now only one descendant of Valerius remains, the captivating Princess Anna. If she does not succeed, Dracula and his minions will conquer the earth.
The last of the Valerius.
She's lost her entire family. Her brother's turned into a werewolf.
And Van Helsing is sent to, basically help her out.
I'm here to help you.
I don't need any help.
He gets nothing but iciness. Trust me, there's a lot of this going on.
Kill them.
It starts off where they're both, not particularly excited to have to deal with each other.
Stay here.
No, you stay here. They're trying to kill me.
Deep down, she knows that she needs help. As much as she refuses it, Van Helsing's not going away, and Van Helsing needs her help because she's been fighting Dracula for 400 years.
We've shot him, stabbed him, clubbed him, sprayed him with holy water, staked him through the heart, and still he lives.
They do have a common goal, and they are quite similar, so they're kind of attracted at the same time as being completely repelled.
Well, I'll say this for you. You've got courage.
I think it's unusual to find a role in that kind of a movie where she actually has something to do.
Sometimes she said to me, she says, "Oh, this is all too much for me. I'm a little frightened." I say, "No, you're not."
She's not just wearing a pretty dress and fainting, she definitely gets her hands dirty.
Deep inside the foreboding forests and castles of Transylvania, I'm standing in Frankenstein's foyer. Far from the intrusion of daylight, they pursue unsuspecting prey. Part human, part devil in disguise, these shape-shifting monsters with a penchant for blood have for 500 years taken turns laying waste to innocent victims who happen to cross their paths. I should know. I play one in the movie.
You don't remember, do you?
Exactly what is it I should be remembering?
Van Helsing can't remember a lot about his past. Dracula holds the keys to his past, which he's desperate to get.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am Count Vladislaus Dracula.
Starting off, I kind of had the least interest in Dracula because I thought, oh, God, it's been done so many times, and so Richard had his work cut out for him.
Every actor knows of the great Draculas that have been, and it's, I would say, the most daunting task of all.
A lot of the time you're called upon to do roles that people have invented, reinvented since time immemorial. You could also approach it that this is the first time anybody's done it. This is the first time this story's being told, so I'm going to do it my way.
He was kind of like, the Rolling Stones Dracula, which I don't think has been done yet.
There's something twisted and really cool about the way he did it.
He's also got this incredible, commanding, very sexy presence.
Dracula becomes this giant hell beast, which is a terrific monster. He was very conceptually difficult to nail down.
I love taking conventions and rules and going a step further. And I thought, well, you know, he turns into a bat, but I'm not afraid of bats. What if my bat had a 15-foot wingspan? That'd be different.
He's kind of a demon, dragon, bat, hell beast. Something nobody's ever seen before. I think it's a pretty neat creature.
It's very elaborate and involves a lot of careful animation and also a lot of technical work to blend and transform one body to another. With the Hell Beast, you really wanted him to go all the way to a creature and so not really retain a shred of humanity after he was done. So, you know, we take Richard Roxburgh and completely transform him into this beast from hell.
As soon as I figured out why would Dracula need Frankenstein, it all came together.
Oh my God, the Frankenstein monster!
It's brilliant how the character of Frankenstein is written into this film, and I don't want to give away why, but he's a very integral part of the plot.
When we designed Frankenstein, it's like, it has to be familiar. Everybody knows Frankenstein's got a flat head, he's got the bolts, he's got the Doc Martens on his feet, but then how do you take that and twist it and spin it and make it cooler and better and different?
We're creating Frankenstein, or the monster, which is a huge responsibility.
What I did was took Schuler and built him out and thickened his face up, but trying still to sculpt it so it looks just like Schuler, but bigger.
All you can see of Schuler is his eyes and his mouth.
The material they use is such that it sort of takes on your features.
We're putting this metal piece in his head, the whole top's glass and everything, and then we split his head open more, so the big cracks coming down.
So one time an actor doesn't want to be in every scene after, you know, spending 6 hours a day in prosthetics.
You're sitting in a mirror and there's 9 or 10 pieces that go on. About the 4th or 5th piece, you begin to see the creature.
Stephen really wanted this glass piece in his heart, and it looks like 1800 green glass in his top of his head. And then Stephen said, yeah, we'll put a little lightning storm going on where his brain is. Like, oh, that's cool.
I have a costume, I have a bodysuit.
Leg extensions.
Hands that go on separately.
We put big metal copper type fingernails that had been stitched in. There was no CGI involved. It was very real. When he walks on set, there's about 7 or 8 people following him. It takes 2 of us to apply his face makeup, 3 or 4 people to get him into the suit, the hands, the mechanics, the contact lens person, there's teeth.
Say goodbye to your friends, because where we take you, only God and the devil know.
Dracula needs Frankenstein, and then the werewolf was involved.
Why does it smell like wet dog?
Werewolf.
Oh, right, would it be needing silver bullets then?
Hold on.
I just love the idea of where werewolves came from. I mean, usually people just use them as, oh, they're these monsters. He's really a tormented soul. I mean, he's like, he's a good person. He wants to be good, but he just can't help himself.
I make that transition between this sort of, you know, young prince into this great big 10-ton scary werewolf. I thought, excellent.
It's lovely to, you know, to work with someone like Will who's not trying to kind of make out like he's done it before, but is absolutely willing to learn and equally has this phenomenal talent that, you know, he can hardly kind of contain.
The guy's a dancer and a really good actor. When he had to transform into a werewolf, I mean, he just can do things with his body that are kind of like uncanny.
I only do half this part and the rest of it is really ILM.
Just looking at some of the takes of him going through the transformations was, he was so intense, it almost looked like he was willing himself to transform, and you're like, I don't want to add a wolf on top of that, you know?
What was very clear with the old classics was that there was actually very little physical change beyond this sort of nose and these hairs, and he just sort of, and then just slightly moves around.
We wanted to come up with something different. The growing hair thing, no matter which way you do it, stop motion or CG, it's just been done to death. And so we came up with our own way. We thought, oh, well, what What if the man starts ripping his skin off and ripping his face right off, and underneath him is growing this werewolf?
And likewise, we have wolves turning into people by ripping that skin off.
Even when his character is all werewolf, we're modelling the motions that the character is going to go through over what Will is doing.
Kind of playing half the part, and the rest you just think, well, I don't know really what it's going to look like. Right, this is what I do for a living.
Ready, and action!
Alira, did I do something to you in a past life?
Don't play coy with me, princess. You're just like all the other pretty little things in your family's history.
I love the original movies, and I love the characters in this. I just love the idea of Dracula's 3 brides.
I can say absolutely, unequivocally, it's not a bad thing.
It's good to have this really, really sexy master and husband. It's great.
Elena from Spain, Sylvia from Italy, and Josie from here bring their own kind of totally different energies to these roles.
I mean, we're like the super villains of the movies, you know? So I think it's, how often do you get to play like a super bad person? It's pretty cool.
I like to make them more liberated. I mean, they're incredibly sexy, but they should also be, you know, kicking some ass.
There's a lot more into it than just gorgeous girls going around looking for blood. Never trust a man to do a woman's job.
We have kind of a really bitchy one and a really worldly one and a kind of crazy one.
Hello, Anna, my dear.
And yet they all want to be #1 with Dracula, so when he starts to get interested in biting me, you know, it's kind of worse than high school.
Slowly are transforming me into a bat. Most of the transformation happens with ILM.
The brides were probably the toughest design. There was just so many questions to answer. What are the wings? Are they naked? Are they not naked? What was difficult was getting something that's a balance between a monster and something kind of beautiful. So it's like wicked but beautiful and nasty but beautiful.
Too bad. So sad.
They transform into these bride bats. They essentially grow large wings and they become much more, very stylized almost. And their clothes, basically their clothes get absorbed into their skin. They can distort their faces out and really elongate their faces to really go in for the kill.
The costume was very much integral to that transformation.
So how do you take the cloth and transform that into wings? So in this case, we're actually photographing the actresses and putting them on the CG bodies.
They casted my whole body, like from head to toe. They measured everything. And also we cyber casted, which is really cool. So you're also in a computer, like 3D.
We scan the actors to make these photorealistic doubles of them because half of them are transforming into other creatures and we need to make the blend from their human form into their creature form. We do have the actors go through a range of motions and that sort of thing so we can work out where their joints are and things like that. We have them pull faces and all that sort of thing so we can get what we call a library of face shapes that we can use to form different expressions. We're using an interesting hybrid approach where what we'll do is film the background that the bride is going to go into and then we'll have an animator animate what the bride will be doing. And then we'll take the actress and put her in a partial bride makeup and film that and then combine those two.
It's like you're a vampire. It's really cool. I love it.
They put all this plastic, all this latex in your face.
To cover our eyebrows, because when we transform into a horrible creature, we have no eyebrows.
I wear my fangs more time than they expected.
Also, we wear contact lenses, and it gives a very wicked look.
My favorite part are the ears. I love these ears. They are great. They are incredible.
It's really weird, because we really look dangerous.
It's a fine line, making it so that it's like weird and twisted and fantastic without being fantastical.
Writer-director Stephen Sommers taps into our fascination and fears to create this man on a monster hunt story.
You get the feeling that Stephen kind of goes home and probably draws things on a message pad while he's on the telephone and, you know, comes to work with a great idea and has a dream.
We all know that we can't see Dracula's image in a mirror, but no one's ever asked why. So in this movie, Van Helsing asks, why? And I answer it.
He'll find things that even in the script were not there, and he wrote the thing.
This is one of Dracula's torches. When it's lit up, it looks really good. Instead of frozen corpses of his victims, he actually turns them into volcanic material.
I love movies. I've always loved movies. I love to be taken to a place I've never seen before. And so I love transporting audiences.
Every day you feel like you're walking onto the set of Indiana Jones. I mean, there's thousands of extras, there's costumes made in Rome, handmade, and everyone looks incredible.
I mean, this is my 4th or 5th movie with Alan Cameron, and he's always just keeps topping himself.
We're trying to create 3 different laboratories underneath the Vatican. We have the science one, the mechanical one, and then the weapons one. The stage is 150 feet by 100 feet, but we've doubled the length of it. At the far end of the set is a large mirror, which is about 70 feet by 30 foot tall. And I've designed the set on a slight arc, a slight radius, so that it looks like a whole semicircle when it's reflected in the mirror.
We've built this huge windmill, and then ILM will enhance it. They'll make it even larger than the set. And subterranean catacombs, gates for castles and parts of castles. From a design point of view, it's just a wonderful script to work on.
You can only build a set to fit in the soundstage that you've got. And with Stephen Sommers' movies, sound stages are way too small to hold his ideas. We call it summer sizing. It's great.
I love big. Bigger's always better. I don't care what anybody says.
One of the bigger ones is the Transylvanian village, which we've got about 20 houses and a church, and there's a huge amount of action with the flying camera.
We shot just outside Prague, this 19th century sort of peasant village with buildings you could move in.
I wanted the village to be slightly twisted. I said it has to absolutely look real. It has to look like a real village, but where the hell is that village? We used camera equipment that had never been used before because I didn't want it to be all special effects. I wanted it to be as real and organic. This movie had to be, you had to absolutely believe that everything is real. And so it couldn't be about flying a camera around a little miniature model set. I wanted to build a village and fly a camera around the village.
They built the biggest rig that's ever been built, a wire rig, that was the length of 2 football fields long. And wires, maybe 15 wires stretching this entire thing, so they could hook the camera up to one of these wires and shoot it along. This camera could go, I think, up to 50 miles an hour, fly through and spin around to be the point of view of the brides. There's one scene where the brides are attacking and they're using this big camera that's swinging around everywhere. And Steve said, okay, to me, he said, I'm gonna let them loose. I'm gonna let everybody loose. And he says, no matter what happens, just keep running around. The first second I knocked over this old woman who was about 60. And she just went straight into me and went flat down. So on the ensuing 4 takes, I knocked over, apparently someone counted it, I knocked over 15 people, just laid them out. Men, women, children, gone.
People have to do things that they could never do, and I wanted to take Hugh Jackman and throw him off the roof of Notre Dame and slam Kate Beckensale off of trees, and also, you know, they both get grabbed by flying creatures and yanked around, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if it was them? Because they also have to perform in the air. It's not just a matter of they get lifted, things happen while they're flying around.
I'm a bit of a thrill seeker. I love all that stuff. He says, whatever you can do something, I'm going to get you to do it. If I'd known some of the things I was going to do by the end, I would never have done it.
They're really gung-ho. They probably have a lot more ability than they want to admit. It's just a matter of making it their idea that they want to participate.
I've done more stunts in this than I've ever done.
I get picked up by one of Dracula's brides, thrown into the air, and I land on my back. Somewhere in about the 3rd take, as I'm going, and my feet are dragging along the ground, the soles have been completely ripped off my shoes, and I'm looking, imagining if I happen to let go, I'm actually going to get completely minced by this carriage. So I'm holding on for dear life, and I get to the end, and they said, we've got it, that's cut, great. And R.A. comes over to me and goes, oh, man, that was awesome. I said, yeah, no, I worked it right. He goes, no, mate, I've never, ever, ever seen an actor do stuff like that before. I said, What?
A lot of people who read the script said a lot of this just isn't possible, and R.A. made most of it possible.
Cut! We had Hugh in the town square, and he was 30, 40 feet in the air, 70-odd feet across.
We did some pretty crazy stuff.
It was like we got to play in a really big, playground. So that's not every grown-up that gets to do that for a job.
I was always afraid of wire work before this movie because it took forever. These guys just had it down. I mean, I was throwing wire work at them all the time because I never had to wait for them.
The same people I've been using for many, many years. We just finished up with them with the Matrix. It's really state-of-the-art stuff.
I would probably pay a bit to do that. To be put in a harness and told, okay, you can walk along here and then you have to walk up a column, like 50 feet up in the air. To do it here as a part of the character thing is fantastic.
And you read and think, oh, great, look, I get to jump here and how heroic, I'm going to look great. And then you think, who's actually going to be doing this? Oh, me.
I found I was dangling upside down in the tree, and just before they turned over, I had this crucifix around my neck as part of my costume, and it fell off and hit the ground, and I thought, oh, God, that's an omen. I'm obviously going to definitely die doing this, and did have to be slightly talked out of that.
We just did baby steps, put her in the harness and raised her up there, and we talked to her, and really hands-on, in the tree, making her feel comfortable. And when she got to the point that she felt comfortable, she was very aggressive.
There was one shot where I run and grab onto her legs, and we're being flown by one of Dracula's bride, and then the bride drops us, and we both fall to the ground, and her knees, she lands right on top of me. We did 3 takes. She stuck everyone perfectly.
It's really exciting. I hang upside down and the flying thing.
I was on harnesses, I was flying around the woods, swinging from trees, running up walls.
It's all just terrific fun.
They all love flight.
I love it. I've grown up playing sports, and if this acting career doesn't work out, I'm going straight to stunt woman.
If a woman gets through an action movie, she's way tougher than the boys are, because they tend to get sneakers and pants.
If they could do back then what I can do now, they would have done it.
Oh my God. This is not your grandma's monster movie.